We got a special episode out there for everybody watching. My name is Ed Weir. I ran the third business Social Security office in the country, and I help people with all things Social Security. And we've got a special guest today, or a special guest has me today. We're joining channels. There's a lot of kids out there that are in social media that are blowing stuff up and doing funny dances and doing all kinds of crazy stuff that we used to do when we were young, which is fine, whatever, but we need serious people out there to help people, navigate the bureaucracy that is the government and get all the resources they're eligible for and need in this economy. So we partnered up with Shalae, and she is one of those awesome people out there helping people throughout the country on all things resources. How you doing? How's everything?
Hey Ed, hey Dr. Ed, hey guys. My name is Shalae Morgan and I'm super excited to be here. I told my audience that this was going to be the best collaboration because we do get to help everyone, whether you have a Social Security question, if you have an EBT question, anything low income resources, we are here. So, hey friends, ask what you want in the comments and yeah, let's talk about it.
All right, perfect. All right, so I wanted to just kind of start it off by doing, since we've got a new audience here, based on my experience with helping people with Social Security, I'm going to go over we'll go over the 5 mistakes that we see happening. I'm sure Chalet has seen people make the same 5 mistakes. And so we'll go over those mistakes. And then it should take about probably about 7-10 minutes or so. And then we're going to open it up. We've already got tons of questions. So we'll open it up to any questions. So make sure you type your questions down in the chat and we'll get to as many as we possibly can. One of the biggest mistakes we see out there is just filing for the wrong program. People, the old adage, if all you have is a hammer, everything looks like a nail. And people think Social Security or Social Security cards and retirement, but that obviously is included. But there's so many other programs. So sometimes people file for retirement, but they should have filed for survivor benefits. Maybe they filed for retirement, but should have filed for disability, or filed for retirement and disability at the same time, or included divorce spouse benefits or independently entitled divorce spouse benefits. So that's one of the mistakes. And unfortunately, Social Security being at a 50-year low in terms of staffing, there are just a lot of people that are not getting the information. They're just kind of left to their own devices. And that's why people like myself and Chalet are out there to try to help you navigate the bureaucracy. So that's mistake number 1, is not filing for the correct program. I've got over 1,000 videos on all things Social Security, Medicare, disability, and so make sure you watch that. And if you've got any specific questions before you file, make sure you come and ask those questions. Mistake number 2 is not reviewing your earnings record. Social Security Social Security determines how much your money you're going to make based on your high 35 years of earnings. So you go into the SSA.gov, you set up an account. Have you set up your account yet there, Chalet?
I do. I do have my online account. It's super easy to set up, and I don't know why most people won't do it because you can review everything.
Exactly. And especially now that it's tax season, this is the most important thing. So this is not only for, people, reaching retirement age. I highly recommend all the young people out there, because what happens if you don't review those earnings record when you're young, because that's how they're going to determine, how much you're going to get for retirement or spouse benefits or whatever the case may be. If you don't do it while you're young, it's extremely difficult to check that when you get older. So once you get close to retirement and you say, wait a second, there's some 0 years when I was in my 20s or 30s, then it's almost impossible to fix. So all the young people out there, make sure you review your earnings record. And it is relatively easy to set up. They've made it a little bit more difficult recently to prevent people from going in there and pretending to be you and causing trouble, right? Mistake number 3 is, after you file, thinking that, okay, I file for Social Security benefits, I'm getting my monthly check, I'm good, I never have to deal with the Social Security Administration again. Maybe, but maybe not. Situations change. You're filing for retirement and then you become disabled. You're on disability and then you hit retirement age, full retirement age. You are receiving widow's benefits from a deceased spouse, and then once you hit 70 years old, maybe there's more money on your own record. So situations change, and sometimes there's more money out there for you. And a lot of people don't realize that they can go back to multiple spouses. And they say, well, I was recently divorced, but I can't get benefits from my first ex or my second ex or third
Mhm.
ex. That is not correct. As long as you were married to that person for 10 years or longer, you can get benefits on those records. So, and here's a big one I'm sure Shalae sees all the time: people paying for Medicare Part B when they don't have to. If you have credible insurance from work and your employer has how many? 20 or more employees, right?
Mhm.
If you have 20 or more employees, current insurance through work, your work, or your spouse's current work, then you do not have to sign up for Part B when you turn 65. A lot of people, go ahead and sign up for Part B and they're paying that $185. And yeah, they're wasting money. Once you stop receiving health insurance from current work, then you can go ahead and sign up for Part B. You have 8 months after that fact. But yeah, if you need help, we have a link. You just go into the YouTube description, and once you get to your Part B, then you're going to have to find a program to cover all those gaps. The big gap is Part B, that 20% co-insurance. So you can check the description in the videos, and you can call our partner at Chapter, and they can help you out filing a Medicare supplement, a Medicare Advantage Part D plan. And this is also the open enrollment period. So if you made a mistake during the annual enrollment period from October 15th to December 7th, you got a do-over. So you can change your Medicare Advantage plan, and you can even go back to original Medicare and get a Medicare supplement. You probably have to go through health underwriting depending on what state you're in, but now's the time to do that. And last mistake is applying at the wrong time. If you're going to be filing for early retirement, then you're limited to how much you can make, and you want to avoid those nasty letters from Social Security that said that you owe a whole bunch of money. I see people applying for Social Security retirement benefits at 72, and they lost 2 years of benefits
Yes.
because your benefits stop going up at 70 years old. So reduce benefits. If you're not working, or you're earning under the annual or under the annual earnings limit, then you can start those benefits. But yeah, got to make sure you start at the right time for you. And as a bonus mistake, missing all the other benefits. And this is what we have Shalae here for. What type of benefits do you see people missing out there?
A lot of seniors do not want to apply for food stamps or EBT because they feel that it's too much paperwork, or maybe they don't want to expose certain businesses, but their business that they have. But this is one that can really help, especially with inflation that's going on. But a lot of people won't apply for it. And not only that, they have like senior vouchers that they give out as well, where you can go to farmers market. So there's so many things, but I think it's the balancing act as well, because some people see that once they get their cost of living Social Security increase, they see their SNAP benefits decrease. And so it's like, well, if they're going to decrease anyway, then I'm not going to even apply for it. But that's the wrong answer.
Yeah, it's crazy. There was an attempted bill in Congress to not make that kind of 100% on and off type thing, where it's because yeah, particularly a couple of years ago when the cola was 8.7%.
That is correct.
Yeah. Yeah, there's a lot of people that's like, "Yeah, 8.7%, awesome, awesome, awesome." There was a lot of people that, "I hate cola. I get an extra, $80 a month, but I've lost $250 of these other benefits."
Correct. So that's another thing as well. So it's just a lot. It is a balancing out. It's hard to navigate. But now with everything else in the world, they're streamlining the process. As far as now, you can get EBT from text message or dialing 211. So even if you're a senior and you're just not tech savvy, it's now a lot easier. They have libraries that will help you. What that they're doing with Social Security, where it's that easier process to apply, they're doing the same thing with SNAP. And some states are now doing, once you apply for Social Security, they give you all the other benefits that you qualify for, whether it's LIHEAP, where that is like the utility assistance as well, or SNAP benefits. So they give you everything now. So you just have to do it. You just have to do it.
Yes, yes. Technically, when you file for SSI and stuff like that at the Social Security office, this SSI for those people out there, supplemental security income. That's for, low income, low resource. It's a program administered by Social Security for people that are disabled or aged, 65 and older. Um, Technically, the offices of Social Security offices are also supposed to hand you a food stamp application or
Oh,
address that issue during. Yes. But technically, they're supposed to do that. But pretty much every office in the country, that's kind of a can of worms they don't want to mess around with. And there's such, low staffing. So they just say, yeah, reach out to them. But technically, they're supposed to help you with that.
I did not know that. I did
Yeah.
not. I'm learning because I've
Yeah.
never
And
seen that
yeah,
yet.
yeah, and the reason is, the employees don't wanna get into it, and they just don't have the time, but they're supposed to do it. And yeah, before I worked for Social Security, I worked for the Department of Social Services doing food stamps and Medicaid and all the rest of it, and that was, doing Social Security, retirement disability, you take the claim and it's good, but, having, someone that's out on the street, got kicked out for some type of marital issue or something like that with kids, and you're able to take that application and just hand them their EBT card and say, okay, if nothing else, here's something to help you for the night and for tomorrow, and for food stamps and all the rest of it. Yeah, that was really, really gratifying. That immediate, gratification that you're able to help someone.
Roger, I agree.
All right, let's see. Let's get into some questions. Selling a house, does it count as my income? Over 212,000 married, 100,000, 106 single, mortgage just my name. Okay, so by reading in between the lines, 212 and 106, that means it's an IRMA type thing. So yes, when you sell a house, that is capital gains. There's an exemption in there that the tax that they give you is like what, $250,000, but talk to your tax person. And that might put you over, so you'll have to pay an extra Part B premium and a Part D that's called the IRMA, the income related monthly modified adjusted amount. And so, yeah, you just might have to pay that extra premium, but it's only for 1 year. Unless you sell another house the next year, get over that income. But yeah, for some reason, Congress did not carve out that exception for selling a house, and a lot of people have to pay the extra premium for a year because of that. Yeah, so yeah. All right, so let's see. You got a lot of hellos on your side. Um,
Hi,
I'll,
everyone. Hey.
I'll let you read that. It probably doesn't sound good for me to say, "Hey, girl, hey."
Hey, girl. Hey. Being out of work because of all the snow really hit me hard financially. Not sure what to do. So I'm sorry to hear that right now you're out of work because the snow and temperatures are impacting everyone in the United States. What you can do is you can always dial 211 if you don't want to dial 211, or it's 311 or 411, depending on where you're located. And a lot of times they do have assistance, whether that's like Meals on Wheels or different financial programs that can assist you, as well as you can go online to the 211 website. You can put in your zip code and they'll give you a list of places, even churches that have decided to sign up for the site as well. So I would start there. See if there's anything that's going on in your area, as well as far as like, is your job still paying out benefits? Is there anything, depending on some states even do, depending on how long, like I know in California with the fires going on, they're doing like unemployment. So there's so many different options, but the first thing I would always say is dial 211, because that is just pretty much so many resources in that number.
Perfect. All right. Hello, Shalae and Ed. Oh, I like this one right here. My two favorite YouTube channels. I'm glad you guys are collaborating together. Oh, I like it. Hey, Renee.
I heart Renee.
All
I think you
right.
want to go heart, Ed, do a heart.
Yes, there we go. All right.
Okay.
All
Thank you,
right.
Renee.
The Army, because Shalae's in the Army, right?
That is cool.
Yep, and I'm an old Marine Corps sergeant, so yeah, and that's one thing. Even though I was in the military, but I was only in the Marine Corps for 8 years, which is like 20 years in every other service. But I won't say that. Um, it's yeah, I'm not really big on VA type stuff. People always come in and ask about veterans, type of benefits, and yeah, are you pretty up on those?
I am. I'm very familiar with the VA benefits, but so much is changing as well. I don't know if you use like your post 9/11 GI Bill. If you've just seen Congress has now, if you have multiple periods of deployments or periods of service, they're adding now an additional 1 year of GI Bill benefits where you get paid.
Okay.
So I do, but a lot of times, some people, they with the VA benefits, they'll tell people or advise them go in there and to do certain things or say certain stuff to get your benefits. And I just don't want to go down that road. I don't want to advise you to do anything
Right.
illegal or more, whatever issues you are having, just state those.
Yes, yes. Well, they call those barracks lawyers. Never
There
trust those
you go.
barracks lawyers. They're all going to get you in trouble. Yes,
They'll get
yes,
you in trouble.
yes. I had the worst. It was called VEAP, Veterans Education Assistance Program. It was between the old GI Bill and the new Montgomery era GI Bill, and it was terrible. I think I used all my money from that like after 1 year at the University of Hawaii. So anyway,
Wow.
yep. All right. Can I start my Social Security early at 64 and then stop it after a certain amount of time and restart it again at 67? Um, there's three ways essentially to stop or suspend Social Security early retirement. The one is withdrawal. So within 12 months of starting your benefits, you can actually withdraw your application like it never happened. But the problem with that is if your application never happened, that means you never got that money. So essentially, you have to return all that money. So you withdraw the application, return all that money, and it's like it never happened. The second way to do it is to do a work report. If you're working, making over the annual earnings limit, and this year it's the $23,400. If you earn over that, then Social Security holds back $1 for every $2 you go over. So that's essentially suspend your benefits. And the other way to do it is called voluntary delayed retirement credits. So before you hit your full retirement age, you can actually suspend your benefits. And so you can get those delayed retirement credits, which are 8% per year until you hit 70 years old. So those are basically the three ways you can do it. So SNAP won't answer the phone. Underfunded, yeah, just like Social Security, and they
Social
didn't call me
Security.
for the phone interview. Yeah, can't contact them. So, what do you recommend on SNAP?
Honestly, you're just going to have to be persistent. And what I mean by that is, yes, phone lines are clogged all across the federal agencies, whether it's Social Security, SNAP benefits, LIHEAP. They just don't have the staffing. So you can go to the local office, you can send emails, and that's the thing. Make sure you build up your case showing where you're trying to hit those point of contacts. But email, even I've seen where the Facebook, if you go on their Facebook, a lot of times they'll have questions and they reply to questions underneath their Facebook. If you still can't get anyone at that point, go to the news station because the news station is always looking to have SNAP recipients on their programming, and most of the agencies they don't want the publicity, and so they'll reach out. And the
Yes,
news
yes,
I've seen in different groups where there's a news reporter, and she'll like, "Hey, are you having issues with SNAP? Email us here at this news agency," and they're helping out as well.
perfect, perfect. And but you can't say this because you're in the military, but I can. Contact your congressperson. And there is a there on the website. It has it on. This is for all of these benefits. If for Medicaid and all the rest of it, food stamps, those are state administered programs, but they're funded by the federal government. So you can contact your state, representatives and your federal representatives for those type of programs. But for Social Security, go on. You should only contact your federal, the senators and Congress people. And then go onto the website. They usually have a little on their website. It says, "I need help with a federal agency." Because if you're regular to my channel, you know that this is a conscious decision by politicians to defund these programs to immediate, to eventually drown them in a bathtub. And that kind of, I guess, segues into one of your audience members. You want to read that one, shall I?
I have a question. Do you think Social Security will go down due to the administration in office?
Okay, so yeah, I know you want to stay away from that one.
Yes.
I tried. People ask me all the time, am I Republican or Democrat, liberal or conservative or something like that? I'm a one trick pony. My mission, my new mission in life. Military people always have to have a mission in life, right? My third, fourth, fifth, final mission in life, I guess, is to help you all get the benefits you're entitled to, that you earn, that you need, and to make sure Social Security is here so there are no cuts in the future. So, what political party am I part of? I am for the Protect Social Security Party. That's it. That's my only thing. So, whether the previous president or the current president or the future president, all the other stuff, that's my personal opinions, but my public opinion is if the current president protects Social Security and makes sure there are no cuts in the future, then I am 100% supportive of whoever will take care of Social Security, because 50% of people out there just live on Social Security alone, and if they get a 10 or 20% cut, it's gonna be horrendous.
I agree 100%.
Yeah, Shalae is wonderful.
Well, thank you. All about you. Thank you, guys. You're wonderful
All
too, Dr.
right.
Ed.
John, let me see. Stopped my SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, 3 years ago due to work. My health is declining again. In general, how long for the EXR to be approved? I want to know when to quit work. Okay, so yeah, the EXR, expedited reinstatement, even though there's in the name of it is expedited, there ain't no
Expedited.
expedited, and there's nothing expedited at Social Security anymore. Politicians are making sure of that. Um, so yeah, so basically what it is, if you are receiving SSDI, Social Security Disability Insurance, and you work your trial work period, which is the first 9 months where you can make as much as you want to see if you can go back to work, and then you reach your extended period of eligibility for 36 months, and if whatever the case may be, they stop your Social Security benefits because you're working. Within 5 years of that, you can file an EXR, expedited reinstatement. You don't have to do the whole brand new disability. It seems like a brand new disability claim, but you're filing an expedited reinstatement. And it still has to go to the DDS, the state agency that makes the medical determination, but it's supposed to be expedited. But you can also get provisional payments, to where, if they can give you your regular Social Security disability benefits while you're waiting for your EXR to be decided. But be careful with that. If they decide against you and they say you're no longer disabled, then you have to pay that money back. But if not, then you're good. But if you want to know when you quit work, remember, Social Security defines disability as the inability to work. If you can work as long as you stay under the substantial gainful activity, as long as your work is under that, then you're good. But be careful. Not sure how much work you're doing there. Uh,
Right.
let's see. Hello from Anaheim.
Hi, Lisa.
Are they going to totally cut SSI and SNAP? What the poors and old people do? 100% live on these benefits. 100% live on these benefits. Yeah. Do you want to try that one?
So I don't believe that they're going to 100% cut SNAP. However, I do believe that there's going to be parameters with SNAP regarding like able-bodied adults without dependents. So there might be more implementation of the work requirements or more job training or different things for you to continue to receive those benefits. But I think right now, where we're at as a nation and so many people struggling and inflation, I think if they just completely got rid of the SNAP program, it would be detrimental. So
Yeah.
I wouldn't say no. I don't believe that they will cut SNAP. However, don't be surprised if they say in order for you to continue to receive your SNAP, you must enroll in an 80-hour program per month, which we see that's what's happening in the States now. A lot of people are implementing those work requirements.
Yeah, and there's been many, many studies done that, in terms of Medicaid and those welfare-based, low-income, low-resource-based health insurance programs. That I think what the last I saw, about 80% of people that are receiving those are working or a caretaker for someone. So they're already basically doing all that, right?
Right. Correct.
Yeah. It just yeah, it's, just health insurance. Something's gotta be done in this country with health insurance. It's, Medicare for all or, whatever the case may be. Yeah, there's such a hodgepodge of systems, and if it was all easy, then, you and I could just go on with our lives and find some other things to keep us out of trouble, right?
Correct. There would be no need for our channels, but it's not.
Right? Exactly. We'd figure something else out, though. Let's see here. You wanna go for that one, Chile? You want your
I lost my EBT card. They send me a new card and then they canceled my new one. They're going to send me a new one Friday. Okay, so it sounds like you lost your EBT card. They sent you a new card, then they canceled that card, and now they're going to send you another one. That's just, I think, like we said, with the systems not talking at all. Maybe the card was sent out, or there was some discrepancy with the address, or maybe you didn't activate it in time, or maybe it shouldn't have been sent out. But if they're going to send you a new one on Friday, you'll get your benefits. That works out.
and usually when they transfer that over, they transfer the whatever remaining funds are to the new card, right?
That is correct. They'll have the funds or any new funds that are available. They will already be on the card as well.
Perfect, perfect, perfect. Theoretically.
Theoretically, should be. Yeah, theoretically. Absolutely.
That's that's the trick. All right, Debbie loves yarn. All right, I've been collecting Social Security on my account and have additional money from my ex-husband. Was I supposed to get a COLA increase on his too? Yes. Basically, that's always a common question. Yeah, once the number crunchers determine what the COLA is going to be for the next year, they just look at all 70 million people receiving any type of Social Security type benefits, and they just apply the COLA across the board. So yes, yes, absolutely. What people in nursing homes will do without Medicaid? Yeah, yeah,
Mm,
that's going to be a
yeah.
tough one.
Because I see right now
But
it's on the chopping block. That's one of the ways to reduce the deficit is to remove Medicaid, correct?
yes, yeah, they're looking at r- fun. I did a video on this about a week or so ago. I think there was what 9 states that have these trigger laws that if the funding is cut by the federal government, those particular states just immediately start kicking people off of Medicaid. And we had that problem after COVID because during COVID the federal government said, okay, you know. We're kind of in a global pandemic, and so people need their health insurance. So don't kick people off of Medicaid. But that ended early last year.
Mhm.
Yeah, the government came in and said, okay, hey, if people aren't entitled to Medicaid anymore because of income or resources, they hit a lottery or something like that, then just go ahead and kick people off. But the problem is, I was seeing a lot of people being kicked off of Medicaid that shouldn't have been kicked off.
Oh, wow.
Were you seeing kind of the same type of thing? People, because the government making mistakes and kicking people off that shouldn't be kicked off,
I mean, are we surprised at this point? Are we
right?
really surprised? But yes, I've seen where comments under my videos was stating the same thing that they were kicked off and then they had to go through the process of trying to be re-added. And that was just a long, tedious process as well.
Yeah, with any type of, government type of decision like that, you almost always have some type of appeal rights. So if you get the
Mhm.
letter that says, "Hey, we're kicking you off," and you disagree with it, please, please, please appeal with it. Appeal the decision, and that way, another person in that particular office, looks at it and sees whether the first person made a correct decision. Yeah. Let's see here, Lisa, from your audience. So, what's the first step when you turn 65? Um, 65, that's the key year for Medicare. So if you do not have health insurance from current work, if yours or your spouse's, the employer, that group health plan doesn't have 20 or more employees, then you need to get Medicare. Um, if you're already receiving Social Security benefits, then once you turn 65, Medicare will automatically send you your package with your Medicare card in there with Part A and Part B. If you don't need the Part B, you send it back. You have to keep the Part A. Most people have to keep the Part A. Um, if you're not receiving benefits, then you manually have to sign up for Part A and B, or just Part A, but and delay benefits. So you sign up for Part A, Part B, and then you have to figure out what you're going to do to cover all the gaps. Is a Medicare supplement, a Plan N or Plan G, or a Medicare Advantage plan, or and address a Medicare prescription drug plan. And again, in the description on the YouTube channel, you can find the phone number for chapter, and they can help you out.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Wife filing for benefits on her record 2 years early. I'm filing at age 70. We were told at the local office that because she is filing early, her widow's benefits would be 100% of my benefit. True or no? Um, she is filing for spouse benefits right now, and that doesn't affect her widow's benefits. What her widow benefit, percentage is determined on is when you shuffle off your mortal coil, I guess, is when she starts those widow's benefits, surviving spouse benefits. So even if you start collecting, someone starts collecting benefits on their own record early or spouse benefits early at 62 or whatever, um, the the surviving spouse benefits are decided when that person passes away. So if you pass away and she is her full retirement age at that time, then she will receive 100% of kind of your benefit amount. That's where it gets kind of wonky. It depends on when you filed for benefits. Let's see. Any other questions you want to? We got tons of questions. Well, there's always hundreds of questions. So you want to pick one for us here?
Let's see here. I'm gonna let you pick one while I figure out how to do this.
Okay. All right. All right. So let's see here. Mora, I got paperwork to file. I think because SSI supposedly overpaid me in 2021. So they started taking out money for repayment, even though I'm on disability. Do I still file taxes? I don't do tax. Do you do taxes there, Shalae?
No, I just talk about when the IRS is paying out.
Okay, yeah. Yeah,
I don't.
I've been trying to cancel my subscription to the IRS for decades, and, yeah, I don't wanna get into, yeah.
I have two. I
Um,
don't want to go to jail, so
right,
I
exactly,
can
exactly,
see.
yeah, yeah. I avoid, yeah, talking about taxes, and so, one day, I don't know, I might find someone to collaborate on a tax type thing, but, I don't know if I wanna mess around with that. But in terms of an overpayment for SSI in 2021, wow, that's, yeah, 4 years late, but, I guess anyway. Social Security has a long memory. But if you have that overpayment with Social Security, remember, you can file an appeal and it's SSA 632. It's a request for a waiver. But two things have to be met in order to waive that overpayment. One is it's not your fault. And number two, you do not have the ability to repay it. So both of those things have to be met essentially. So you file the SSA 632 and they see if they can waive it. And thanks to Anderson Cooper in 60 Minutes, who did a great expose on overpayments of Social Security, it's a lot easier to kind of negotiate overpayments now. Before, when I was working at Social Security, we could do a year or 2 years repayment plan, pretty easy. Anything after that, it's a lot more difficult. But now you can do one for like 60 months, and Social Security overpayments to pay back overpayments, it's zero interest. So it's always best to do it as long as possible. So yeah, definitely ask for a payment plan or ask them to waive it if they're able to.
I agree. And real quickly, I had a national organization or a news organization reach out to me, and they asked that I have anyone that had any overpayments that would be willing to share their story, that they wanted to feature them. So I don't know if anyone would like to do that. You can go to my channel, send me an email if you're willing to share the story, and I can pretty much make that connection for them. But they wanted to run a story as well. So that's what I said. Contact the news outlets. But I didn't have anyone just yet. So if you do, if you don't mind sharing your overpayment story, you can. They might be able to help you.
Yeah, because this is the most important thing on any of this is getting, contacting your politicians, the news media, and it's getting the stuff out there. So even if, there's a lot of people out there that, oh, I'm good. I filed for retirement and it was kind of a nightmare, but it was relatively painless and I got my benefits and my check is good. And so I don't need you, Ed and Shalae. I'm good. Okay, that's perfect. We really are glad everything worked out for you, but I can guarantee you there's some people around you, your friends, coworkers, relatives, other people in your community that really need that help. So If you were good, good, but reach out to your politicians, the news, and everybody else and say, hey, I know a lot of people are struggling. They need help. They can't get a Social Security check cut. They're having problems getting hold of the Social Security Administration. They're having problems getting hold of SNAP benefits, Department of Social Services. So yeah, anything we can do to take care of people that really need help out there. All right, let's see. We've got Angie from your audience. Dr. Ed, when can I apply for IEDS benefit? I will be 62 March 30th. I had a telephone application January 10th, but I didn't get a call. Wow. I called and was on hold for 4 hours. Should I wait for my birthday? Okay, so yeah, IEDS is independently entitled divorced spouse benefits, and there's millions of people, well not tens, hundreds of millions of dollars probably being lost because people don't know about that. So Angie does. Awesome, Angie. It's independently entitled divorced spouse. A lot of people think that in order to get divorced spouse benefits from an ex, that person has to be receiving Social Security benefits. And that's not true. As long as your ex, you were married to that person for 10 years or longer, and as long as that person is at least 62 years old, and as long as you've been divorced for 2 years, then you're possibly eligible for benefits on that record, depending on the benefit amount. But it sounds like Angie, her benefit amount is less than half of her ex's, but just a matter of getting an application. So you'll be 62 in March, so you have to be 62 the entire month. So you still got time. You won't be able to start because you have to start benefits on your own record first. So starting in April, you start your benefit. You can file the application now. Keep trying to get a hold of them, but they will start your benefits on your record in April, and then they will take that independently entitled divorce spouse claim on your exes, as long as your ex is 62 and all the other stuff I just said. And then it's a little bit more difficult than a regular, like if your ex was already receiving benefits, it's easier. Independently entitled divorce spouse, there's a couple of extra steps there. But yeah, there's a lot of people that are just out there that are just sitting around waiting for their ex to file for benefits, and they're losing that money every single month. So great on you, Angie, for knowing about that. But unfortunately, yeah, just got to keep at it. All right. See any good questions you wanted?
Well, I had one that was far back. It was from Miss Tiaz, but it was way back, I think at the 1710 mark. And they had said that they have received the Social Security Administration increase and was denied EBT. What's the point of reapplying? And a lot of times I tell people to still reapply because so much is changing, especially at the federal and state level. Some states are now removing like the asset test, or they're adding different things like if you pay for light bills or different things, that now those can be deducted. So you may have not been awarded benefits on the last criteria, but now it's changed. And because they are now removing asset test limits or different things, you may actually qualify now. So I tell people, just don't think because that you were denied. Sometimes people weren't even looking at your paperwork properly, or so much changes all the time. And we see that whether it's Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, SNAP, especially with the new administration coming in, there's going to be a lot of changes. And so you may qualify.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, and the thresholds in each particular state change every year. So people say, "Oh yeah, I applied last year and I was denied, so I guess I'm denied." Well, no, that's maybe they increased the threshold that few extra dollars, and now you're good to get in there. Yeah, that's the same thing on Social Security Administration. There's a lot of people that go into Social Security and they say, "Hey, I want to see if I'm eligible for any benefits on an ex-spouse." And they're told, they look at the numbers because your benefit amount has to be less than half of the ex-spouse in order for you to get any benefits while that person is out there alive and kicking. So they're told that, oh, no, you're not entitled to any benefits on that person's record. And that's all they hear. I'm not entitled to any benefits on that record. But they don't realize that that's because that person is still out there alive and kicking. Spouse benefits are calculated different than surviving spouse benefits. So there's a lot of people out there that are entitled to surviving spouse benefits, but they don't file for it because, oh, I went into Social Security 5 years ago and they said I'm not entitled. No, that's just because the calculations. But now that person has since passed away. Please contact Social Security. Yes, sit on hold for 4 hours. And while you're on hold, open your laptop, contact your congressperson and say, how come I'm on hold for 4 hours? Fix this, right?
Mhm.
And see if, yeah, there's a lot of people that didn't realize they've got more money coming in. So, all
Gotcha.
right, let's see what else we got here. Hello, gorgeous. Thank you for all
I
your
was
work.
actually,
I'm assuming that's you. I don't think she's talking to me.
uh, hello, gorgeous. Hey, you never know.
Uh,
You
all right.
know?
All right, let's see. Love. Any update when the Fairness Act is going to be implemented? Are you getting a lot of questions on the Social Security Fairness Act?
Absolutely. But the main question people want to know is when are those back pay checks going to hit their accounts? What's the process? What's taking so long? So that's been the biggest question I received is when is the payout?
Yeah, yeah. I did a video on this about a week ago, and the title on my channel is "Critical Updates Deadline January 31st." And because yeah, I think the people that know, that that law now applies to them, they know. But there's a lot of people that don't realize that it applies to them and don't know what it's all about. So I did a video on that to try to make sure, you don't miss that money. And Social Security just updated their website within the last couple of days on it. So probably this week I'm going to run down the website, the questions, and kind of translate Social Security ease into actual English. And so I'll do that this week on the Fairness Act. For some people, it's going to come quick ish. But other people, yeah, not so much. Yeah. And Congress being Congress, what's typical Congress, the Social Security Fairness Act is only basically 2 sentences. And then now Social Security's lawyers are just, working 24/7 trying to figure out how to interpret those 2 sentences. And because the Congress didn't provide any funding to implement any of this, Social Security just doesn't have any resources to do it. So Congress should have said, okay, here's the details, and here's some money to to get people to actually get money out. But obviously, Congress, that's too much work, I guess. So I love your channel, very informative. All right. I want to know if my brother is able to get VA benefits. He's 71 years old.
I would definitely, if he served in the service at any point in his 71 years, I would definitely apply. I mean, especially if he has an honorable discharge, it's worth looking into because there's so many benefits of receiving when you apply for VA. So I would definitely.
Yep. Well, what type of benefits are we talking about at 71? Because I know a lot of people take advantage of the VA medical system.
Absolutely. That's like the number one, especially when it comes to medical. I mean, you can go and get seen as far as like prescription meds, doctor's appointments, you have burial benefits, you have education benefits. If you didn't utilize your education benefits, these are now benefits that could be passed down to your children or your grandchild or anyone that you have custody over. So even though you may not have used it, someone in the family can still use it. Housing benefits, at 71 years old, if they wanted to go to a like a retirement or nursing home for vets that's in the state, you can go there at no cost. I know I live in Alabama and we have it's called like Tut Fan. It's a veteran based, like I guess retirement home. If you are a vet, you can go there absolutely free. So it just depends if you need caretaker benefits, if you need someone to come in, or um, depending on your wife, if he has a wife, I know she said it's her brother, but if he has a wife, then the VA does pay out for your wife to now get caretaker benefits for assisting you as well. So there's so many benefits.
I didn't know about yeah, that I learned something new every day about so if you didn't use your GI Bill or Montgomery era GI Bill or any of that, then you can actually give it to your family, kids, and stuff like that.
Absolutely. even now
Ah,
your post 9/11 GI Bill. So I've used all my benefits, but had I not used those benefits, I could have saved them and waited for my child or to pass those benefits down. And if you receive 100% VA, then at that point it'll pay for your family's medical. You get dental benefits, which a lot of times you don't see dental benefits at all. Correct me if I'm wrong with like Medicare. You don't receive
correct.
that.
Yeah. No. Yeah. Yeah. That's one thing we definitely got to address. I mean, how in retirement, how healthy are you if you don't have dental, vision, and hearing? So
Yeah.
yeah, definitely has to be added to original Medicare. And that's a question I get a lot about because there's like you're about to retire soon, so you're going to have TRICARE for life for people that retire.
Right.
People that did not retire or go out on a disability retirement, they just they're able possibly to get VA medical. And people always ask me about whether they should sign up for Medicare and Medicare Part B. And most of the time, "Oh, I don't care about Part A since it's zero premium," but they don't want to pay for the $185 because they use the VA medical. And that's kind of a personal decision, but I always caution people that it says, okay, you're good with the VA medical system now. But what happens, a year from now, 5 years from now, when the funding is cut, or you move, and you're no longer near a VA medical system, and you refused Part B when you were supposed to have it. If you change your mind later and you sign up for Part B, then there's a 10% penalty for every 12 months you didn't have it, and then you can only sign up during January, February, March. This is the season to sign up: January, February, March. So, or if get a diagnosis at the VA medical center and you want a second opinion outside, if you don't have Part B, that might be difficult. So there is a way you can have your cake and eat it too. And those are called those. I usually always recommend people check out a Medicare supplement plan first, the Plan N or Plan G, because those are the ones no prior authorizations, no networks. But if you're predominantly using VA medical, then probably a Medicare Advantage. It's called a Part B give back, where if there's one available in your area, then it pays for your Part B. So sometimes, it pays $50, $100, $185 of your Part B, depending on what's available in your area. So you can click on, call the numbers in the description there, chapter Medicare, and they can see if there's a Medicare Advantage Part B give back in your area. That way you can continue to use the VA medical system, but you have something in the back to protect you just in case. And sometime, might get some more benefits on top of that. So again,
I
depending on what's
agree. I agree 100% with what you said. And I always tell people like the government usually goes with the lowest bidder. Like, so when you have the VA medical, I mean, yeah, you have some type of medical, but it's probably, it's the lowest. So when you're going in there, I know people that when they went to get dental and they had to get teeth installed or different things, it wasn't the best looking teeth. And that's the last thing that you want. So you
yeah.
want to have those supplemental plans.
Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. All right, Donna, from your channel there, my question is: does SSDI flip at 62 or full retirement age? Okay, so for survivors, that's a whole different question there. Well, technically, I guess it's not. So for survivors, if you have been receiving SSDI as part of the Disabled Widows Program, which is you can get disabled widows benefits from 50 to 59, but in terms of Social Security disability, no, it does not flip at 62. It does flip at your full retirement age, and most people don't even know. It just basically it's a bureaucratic thing where they stop taking your money out of the Social Security Disability Trust Fund and they start taking out of the Social Security Retirement Trust Fund. And most people don't even know. They get people on the live Q&A all the time. I'm 70 years old and I'm receiving disability. It says, no, actually your disability stopped like 5 years ago or whatever. Um, but people just don't know, don't notice it because the check stays the same, the direct deposit stays the same. But what people are missing is that now, because at Donna, when you hit your full retirement age, you're no longer on disability. So with being on disability, you have all those limitations in the amount you can work, and then you have those very fun continuing disability reviews, those CDRs. That once you hit your full retirement age, you don't have any of that stuff anymore. So there's a lot of people out there that are after their full retirement age, and they're like, Yeah, a friend said I could come down and, work and, at the, the store and stuff like that, but I don't want to jeopardize my disability benefits. And said, no, you're not on disability. You're on regular retirement benefits. And because you're past your full retirement age, you can make $1 million a month and Social Security doesn't care anymore. So a lot of people out there that could get some extra money and, make their life a lot easier, but they don't know that their disability stopped once they hit their full retirement age. So subscribe and like and all that kind of stuff so we get these algorithms out there, right?
Absolutely.
All right. Uh, let's see here. I began working again at 69 and previously received SSDI, which turned into Social Security when I became of age. Since I'm almost a year now working, when can I see more income from Social Security? So that is based on, Vivian, you're right on there. She knows that once she hits her full retirement age, then she's no longer on disability, so she's working. Awesome. Um, Social Security every year checks that out. So your benefits are based on your high 35 years of earnings. So last year in 2024, if you worked and that's one of your high 35 years of earnings, then what happens is when you play with your buddies at the IRS and you file your taxes and all that stuff, then the IRS will notify Social Security. Social Security will see what you earned last year and say, okay, this is Vivian's one of her high years, her high 35. So they'll throw out a low one, stick in the new one, and recalculate your benefits. Usually it takes a little time because you have to file your taxes and everything. So last year, people were getting that notification like in October that their benefits went up based on the previous year. But you don't lose because if it takes them till October to do it, they will adjust it back to January. So there's people getting a check in October for an extra $135. And they say, what's that? And I say, well, that's your, check back to January. So you won't miss that benefit. All right. See anything else good in there?
Well, I know Reba USA, I think she said that she has 70% VA disability, or which is great. And I'll tell people a lot of times, check with your state if you're receiving VA disability. I know in the state of Alabama, they have, as long as you have over 50% of disability in our state, you can actually, they will pay for your children to the tuition for your child to go to school. So they don't get 100% like books and dorm and lodging, but they will pay for the tuition as well. That is a state benefit as well. So there are some state benefits. And then, of course, like you have the free fishing license and the car tag and different things that you can get as well.
Yeah, that's one thing I've taken advantage of is getting
Oh,
that
really?
lower registration, being a vet there. So yeah,
Uh-huh.
so I guess in my state you can use it as your against your home or your car. So I always use it against my car since it's basically the same. So all right,
Oh,
Jacqueline. SSA canceled my SSI for supported overpayment because they said I had been receiving back child support. When they checked my credit, they learned I had $3,000 in savings. The reviewer said I recertify. Yeah, once when you sign up for SSI, which is a low income program, you give Social Security permission to check your bank and all that kind of stuff every now and then, and that's what happened. Is the local Social Security office got an alert that you had more money in there. Um, yeah, if that money is gone, is spent down, someone gave you some money so you could get your car fixed, and you put it in your bank account, and you're like used it the next day or something like that, then contact Social Security and say, hey, yeah, I had it in there, but I used it for this, that, and the other. So you might not get that particular month back, but they'll continue your benefits going forward.
gotcha.
All right. Thanks to both of you for your time and attention and assisting people looking for answers about SSI, et cetera. Your efforts are priceless. I like it.
Thank you, Vivian. So sweet.
All right. What else we got here? Well, there's always just too many questions. I've been looking for another Social Security retired person to help me out and help answer questions and emails and stuff like that. But yeah, people are so stressed out there after they retire and says, I don't even want to hurt. I don't even want to hear the letters SSA anymore. I know, Ed, I don't want to help you. I am going to actually retire. I'm not dumb like you and go back into the mix after a week.
Uh-huh.
So what are you gonna do?
Gotcha.
Uh,
I was trying to see if I can find another question.
all right, I'll throw one up there. Is there a full retirement age for retirement benefits and a different full retirement age for survivor benefits? Yes, there is. And it gets kind of complicated because the full retirement, because when you file for survivor benefits early, you can start at 60 years old. When you file for retirement benefits, as just regular retirement or a spouse, then you can file at 62. So because of that, survivor benefits are usually about 3 or 4 or 5 months different, the full retirement age for survivor benefits. But be careful, that is different than the annual earnings limit for actually working, and the whole $1 for every $2 and all that kind of stuff the full retirement age is exactly the same for everybody else for that part. But in terms of reduced benefits, it's different from survivor benefits. And I see a lot of Social Security employees messing that up and saying, oh no, because survivor benefits is, January, you made too much and therefore you have to pay them back. No, for the annual earnings limit, it's April, or whatever the case may be. So be careful there. But yes, it is different.
Okay.
Shanette says, please read mine. And that's all it says. And did she have another question up there that so many questions, they just kind of fly through here?
I think Jose had a question. He said, do you know why the SSDI Backpay is taking so long? He's been waiting 6 months now.
All right. So yeah, it really depends on what stage you were approved. Because if it was the third stage, the administrative law judge, if the judge approved it, then they have to get the order written up and then signed by the judge and then sent to the local office. Yeah, that takes forever. If you had a lawyer, then they have to pay the lawyer first, and that takes extra time. If you had SSI during the time, but all that being said, that's the sausage being made part of the whole process. Yes, it everything takes way too long, and the reason is politicians refuse to support Social Security to help you get your benefits, because a lot of people don't realize when you pay your FICA tax throughout your life, all those decades you paid your FICA tax, part of it goes to Social Security, part of it goes to Medicare. A very small percentage of that, less 1% of that, basically goes to help. So when you pay all that money and you say, okay, part of this money pays for help when I turn 62 or 67 or whatever the case may be, to help me make sure I get the benefits I earned. But Congress refuses to give that money to Social Security so they can help you get your benefits, and even though you paid for that help. So that's why, unfortunately, Shalae and I are doing this, is because, people need the help. So
Absolutely.
when my child, that's 18, graduates high school, will I be able to receive survivor benefits age 42 and still work? No. Yeah, survivor benefits, you can't get survivor benefits until 60 years old unless you're disabled. If you're disabled, then you can get them. It's called disabled widows benefits from 50 to 59. But if you're not disabled, then no, 60. Um, so yeah, your child it can sounds like you're getting survivor benefits. If the child is still in high school after they turn 18, they can basically continue to receive the survivor benefits until they're graduate high school, or 19 and 2 months. Basically, there's a little gray area there. But whatever you received and whatever your child received in survivor benefits doesn't affect your survivor benefits later when you turn 60 years old and you want to file survivor benefits. A lot of people think, well, I collected, benefits, or my child collected benefits 10, 20, 30 years ago, so I guess I'll probably get less in the future. No, that's not how it works. You get your, whatever your benefit amount is. So.
Gotcha.
All right, so we are at an hour. So we've got, as usual, way too many questions, and I wish we could answer some more, but we've got hundreds of videos out there with a lot of the answers. I'll be back again tomorrow doing my live Q&A. Shalae will continue doing her videos. Any final thoughts there?
Well, thank you so much just for having me on your platform. And thank you, your followers, just being so welcoming. They were so nice. They were asking questions. I love what you're doing. This is what is needed for the people. So I think between myself and you, they are covered on every aspect. Definitely like, comment, subscribe. If they have any questions, feel free to reach out to me, and I'm here.
Perfect. Yeah, thank you for yeah joining me. We need a lot more people of like you out there helping people. Yeah, you've got your mission in the army, and you've got your mission helping people out. So this is awesome that you're doing this in your kind of your spare time, I guess. Right? You are.
Absolutely.
You are too awesome. You too awesome. All right. Thank you for everybody. And I apologize we didn't get to your questions, but I'll be back again tomorrow, and I'll just keep doing this until we make sure you all get the benefits you need and earned. Y'all take care. Thank you.